the woman who would be Prime Minister, Norman Baker, ex-politician, watching that one. What did you think?
Well, she was more interested in the backdrop she had behind her, that's one thing to say, and she was smiling a bit, and she came across better than she has done previously on a human level, and that counts when you're looking at winning elections. Having said that, there was some reiteration, of course, of what we expected from her, the commitment to cutting taxes she came out with, and also the guarantee of better public services. Well, you know, from my point of view, that's a bit difficult to square, and that was your question, Eamon, in fact, to her. It's very easy to promise both those things, but they have to be paid for in some shape or form. We've got a situation now where the country's been borrowing inordinate amounts of money, more than since the Second World War, because of COVID and everything else. The public finances are not in a good state. And it's a bit of a gamble, frankly, to promise big tax cuts when the economists around the place say that will be inflationary and when there's no money to pay for it. So to say that it's going to suddenly generate growth and that will pay for it is a bit of a leap in the dark.
Is it like a general election in the sense that whatever she states now is a mandate that she then has to carry out once she gets into office? Because could she just be saying this to please this current electorate, the membership, and then actually when she's in Downing Street and she realises I've actually got to balance the books, do something different? Well,
I think she is saying what will please the electorate, which is the 200,000 Tory party members. Let's remember that 99.5% of the population got no vote in this particular election, but she will carry it through. I don't think she's that cynical, and that would be very damaging politically, so she will carry it through. The question is whether or not she's making promises which are unwise in order to win the election.
So what's Rishi Sunak got to battle? What's he got, in terms of his opponent, and he's weighing up high scores points over her, what's he got to consider?
Well, you know, this is head versus heart to some extent. I think what Rishi Sunak has put forward is, if you like, a traditional Conservative view. You have to balance about sound money, the sort of thing Margaret Thatcher would have said, as opposed to the aspirational element of what Liz Truss has been saying. And it is head versus heart. Now, we saw in the Brexit vote, for example, that there was a good economic case for staying in the EU, but there was also an inspirational case, if you like, put by those who wanted to leave, and in that case, the heart won. And I think the heart might win again here. So Rishi's got a big challenge to overcome that. He's got to persuade his electorate that actually what he's putting forward, which sounds a bit more boring, is actually better for the country.
I thought she was quite good when I put it to her, but you went along with all these tax hikes while you were there in Cabinet, and she was saying, I made my objections clear, but I had to go along with the collective responsibility of Cabinet.
Well, that's perfectly true, and I ended up doing the same thing when I was in government. You have to do that. I mean, you sometimes nuance it. When I was asked a question about why something was happening in government I didn't agree with, I would say, well, the Prime Minister's made it clear he thinks this. Yes. That's how I got round it.
Yes.
You know, there have been lots of criticisms of Rishi Sunak for, you know, handing in an undated letter of resignation because he'd sort of been planning it, and then this campaign, his domain for the website was registered, I think it was December 2020, and he was just straight out the starting blocks, wasn't he? I wonder if Liz Truss in Cabinet saying she was opposed to those tax rises was actually her also thinking about her leadership bid.
Well, maybe so. We don't know that. I look, politicians have got a right to be ambitious and they've got a right to aspire to the top job. So I don't blame either of the candidates for wanting to think ahead and aspire to that position. And, of course, if you do think that the Prime Minister is toast, as he clearly was at some point, then, of course, you've got to plan ahead and get your campaign ready. So that's fair enough.